So what should be India's approach? Should India still be invested in Awami League and Sheikh Hasina, or it should reach beyond Sheikh Hasina? So all these things will come here. The examples will be recent, the theories would be static. Please understand this. This paper demands recent examples, otherwise you will not get very good marks. History stops, IR starts. Economics will be there, geography will be there. You need to see the maps also very carefully. Multipolarity challenges American hegemony. What is multipolarity? You have different power centers. You have countries like China, you have emerging powers like Saudi Arabia, India. This is Russia, again a great power. Great power is strictly defined by its military strength. So this is multipolarity, where you have different countries. After 1991, the dehyphenation of foreign policy started. So all the things that you are doing do not have a very huge footprint. ये सब अभी होना शुरू हुआ है, पहले ये सब्जेक्ट बहुत आसान था. But now because India is going everywhere, engaging everyone, that's why the literature is also enormous over here. Paper 1, especially part A, where we have to study about political theory, is the foundation of your optional. It will help you score good marks in these part as well. Okay, all these parts, especially first, second, and to an extent the third part.
Most UPSC aspirants fail before they even begin. Here's how you avoid that. The mistake: they jump into preparation without a roadmap, a mentor, or a clear strategy. At Vision IAS Delhi, we help you build your UPSC foundation the right way from day one. Get structured coverage, prelims, mains, CSAT and essay, all broken down step by step so nothing feels overwhelming. Smart current affairs with PT 365 and Mains 365. You focus only on what truly matters, no fluff. Personal mentorship, real one-on-one guidance to help you fix weak areas and boost what you're already good at. Test plus feedback loop, regular tests with detailed feedback so you never lose track of your progress. Don't start blind, start smart with Vision IAS Delhi. This is where your serious UPSC journey begins. UPSC preparation is not just about reading books or watching online lectures. It requires personal guidance, real discussions, and structured practice. This is where offline mentoring makes all the difference. Unlike online learning, where doubts often remain unresolved, offline mentoring offers direct interaction, real-time feedback, and an environment of discipline and competition. One-to-one sessions help students get tailored advice, strategy corrections, and focused improvement. Every aspirant has different strengths and weaknesses. Personal mentoring helps address them effectively. Ground discussions sharpen analytical thinking and help students develop a multi-dimensional perspective on issues crucial for prelims, mains, and interview. Elocution sessions help in personality development, clarity of thought, and confidence, essential for UPSC interviews. Test writing is the most crucial part of UPSC preparation. It helps in time management, structuring answers, and improving content quality. Offline mentoring is not just about teaching, it's about grooming future officers with the right guidance, discipline, and confidence. So if you are preparing for UPSC, make sure you have the right mentor by your side.
of you. I'm Ganesh Shekhar and I'll be discussing about the paper 2 of Political Science and International Relations. So by now, I'm sure you must have a fair bit of idea about the benefits of taking this subject, right? Why this subject is most sought after optional, like it aligns a lot with your general studies. So much of overlapping is there with the general studies paper, especially your paper 2. Almost everything that you study in GS paper 2 is already a part of your PSIR optional, and other than that you have some similarity with modern India paper 1, then something in paper 3 related to economics. It helps you indirectly in essays also. Every year there are 8 topics in essay, so one is for from PSIR. It gives an edge to those who take this subject. So apart from the similarity with your general studies, there is no breadth of material on this subject. In fact, there is an overflow of information, and that is why we need to streamline it, the preparation that we do. Now, other than that, this subject is very interesting and a very dynamic subject. It regularly keeps on updating itself. A lot of latest things do happen here. Now, straight away, starting with what we have discussed, and I'll start with the paper 2, Comparative Politics and International Relations. Part A of paper 2 is your comparative politics and part B is about international relations. Now, how do we arrange this particular thing? Here you see India and the world, and in fact, we'll start with here. I just jumped to the fourth one. Comparative politics. What comes to your mind when I say comparative politics? Any idea about that? So it is focused at studying the domestic political system of the country. And both these topics, in fact, 1, 2, and 3, the first 3 topics, that is comparative politics, state in comparative perspective, and politics of representation and participation, borrows a lot from your paper 1. Paper 1, especially part A, the theory, political theory, where you have to study about ideology and thinkers. You have had a session on that as well. So the things that you study there will be very useful. In fact, it's actually a mirror replica, especially the comparative politics part. We don't study new theories here, but only the application. So we have to do interlinking with paper 1. That's why paper 1, especially part A, where we have to study about political theory, is the foundation of your optional. It will help you score good marks in these part as well. Okay, all these parts, especially first, second, and to an extent the third part. No, nothing new we will study here. Now, nature and major approaches. So every year you get one question from this particular part. At least 10-mark question is essentially from this thing. Political economy, political sociology perspective. Political economy perspective, what would that be? The impact of economics and trade on the political system. Similarly, we have political sociology perspective, the society, the fault lines, the socio-political economic cleavages within the society that decide the political system, and we have to compare them of different countries. Now, coming to the second part, state in comparative perspective, again it leans heavily from your theories of state in paper 1 part A. I think second or third topic is your theories of state. So same theories will be very handy here. The theories would be same, but the application would be slightly different. Characteristic and changing nature of state in capitalist and socialist system. So where do you think state has more role, in capitalist system or socialist system? Socialist system, because socialist system says that state will do the needful. It tends to nationalize things, right? And in capitalist system, which is mostly based on what we call Washington consensus and laissez-faire theory, the role of the state diminishes. So how role of the state has evolved from socialist to capitalist system, and what are the prospects in front of the state in these two systems? That is what we study here. Then advanced industrial and developing societies. So in developing societies, state has to perform an enabler role, but not so enabler role it has to play in advanced industrial nations. So there are many facets of these topics that we study in detail in the classroom. Now the third thing, the politics of representation and participation. So this representation and participation itself is a very generic term. How can one define representation? I mean, the band will go on expanding. Okay. So what is representation and how this political parties, pressure groups play a role? Ever heard of this term, critical race theory? So that was making news and waves for very long until Donald Trump became the president of USA. Now, critical race theory says that there is an inherent racial bias in American society. The current president of US refuses to believe that. His entire ecosystem does not work on that line. Otherwise, we would have included it. Now we will have only some passing references of that critical race theory. Social movement in advanced industrial and developing societies. So these social movements at time tend to become antisocial. The thing that happened in Myanmar, in your last mains exam, you had a question on Myanmar, the development that are happening in Myanmar. So first there was a 54-year rule, military rule, then a hybrid government came, then in 2021 again the democratic leader has been house arrested, and now Tatmadaw is again there. Now what we are witnessing, a war between Tatmadaw is the military of Myanmar, and the Arakan army. So how should India navigate here? Okay, now such question can be expected on another neighbor, where some turmoil is going on. You know the name of the country, Bangladesh. Okay, so what should be India's approach? Should India still be invested in Awami League and Sheikh Hasina, or it should reach beyond Sheikh Hasina? So all these things will come here. The examples will be recent, the theories would be static. Please understand this. This paper demands recent examples, otherwise you will not get very good marks. Now, globalization, two terms, globalization and non-aligned movement. These two terms are mentioned 3 times each in your paper 2. So there is an increasing stress of the commission on these two concepts, globalization and non-alignment. In fact, last year also a question was there on non-alignment. We'll see that as well. So globalization, and again we will have 2 more references of globalization. So we will study this particular topic in a very detailed format. What exactly it implies, what are the different methods through which globalization operates, what is the positive impact and the negative impact. Scholars like Joseph Stiglitz have very much criticized globalization, that it's not a very good thing and it actually creates more of inequities, what Nobel laureate Stiglitz argues. So we will see these arguments. We'll see these arguments also, and then we will try to have some Indian perspective here. Now, approaches to study of international relations. So the subject that we refer as international relation is the latest addition to the discipline of social science. This subject came right after the First World War, 1919. The need for peace was felt. Okay, the need for peace was felt because First World War was a very catastrophic war. The amount of misery and destruction that it brought to humankind in modern times was unparalleled. So world felt the need for some cooperation and coordination. And how it started? It started with what is called the idealist theory. IR started with idealist theory. Now what is idealism? Again, you have to study this in paper 1 in political theory. But idealist theory of IR we study here. When idealists run the narrative in geopolitics, it becomes idealist theory of IR. So for that you need to know what is idealism. And in order to know idealism, you have to know about certain idealist thinkers, which you study where? In your paper 1. That's why I said that both these papers are very much interrelated. You cannot study them in isolation. That would be isolationist approach. Just say you don't prepare separately for pre and mains. Okay. You may leave some topic for mains, but there is more of overlapping. Your four subjects, polity, economy, geography, and history, have both prelims and mains syllabus is there. So similarly, paper 1 and paper 2 needs a very holistic and broad approach over here. So idealist theory was there, and then realist theory came because idealist led to Second World War. All the coordination and cooperation that they used to talk about did not stop another major war. Just after 20 years in 1939, which was even more disastrous than the First World War. So the assumption of idealist theory was questioned because of Second World War. That gave rise to the realist theory. Now, what is realist theory? For that, you need to know who is a realist, okay, and what is their assumption, what do they talk about? Again, paper 1. Then there is a Marxist theory. Now, Karl Marx is one of the very important political philosopher of our times, and also in PSIR subject. So, what is the Marxist perspective on international relation? What do Karl Marx say? And the neo-Marxist perspective also we have to study. Then functionalist and systems theory, which talks more about cooperation between the different aspects of state. So repeatedly you have to turn back to paper 1 also. If your paper 1 is done in a significant way, at least till here you will not have much issues. Okay, the first 4 to 5 topic would be a cakewalk for you if your paper 1 is solid. Are we understanding this? Now, moving on from here, the remaining portions. Key concept in international relation, national interests. So this is what countries tend to pursue. Whatever actions they take, whatever counter actions they take, is to pursue their own national interest. And that is what leads to confrontation also, because at times this geopolitics become a zero-sum game where benefit for one will be at the cost of the other. नहीं दिख रहा है. You cannot see it. Can we have a different shade, please? Please wait for a few minutes. Anyways, the line says that key concept, national interest, security and power. So all these again centers towards America. IR essentially is an American subject. Okay, mostly the American scholars are here. The theories are US centric, and then rest of the world tends to follow it. In fact, again, it's very much as you must be knowing that this is a mix of many subjects. History stops, IR starts. Economics will be there, geography will be there. You need to see the maps also very carefully. We have a lot of images that we will share with you in the classroom. The sea lines of communication, the important choke points, places like Red Sea, why Houthis are attacking Red Sea, what is Malacca Strait, where is Persian Gulf. Okay. दिख नहीं रहा, इसको white कर सकते हैं? ठीक, leave it. I'll speak, okay. You may not refer to it until we have a better shade from the next one. It's visible. Some people are having trouble. No issues, no issues. You can listen, right? So all these theories that we talk about, and the concepts that we talk about, the balance of power, the collective security, mostly nurtured by the American scholars. And now what we are witnessing currently in contemporary times, that America is losing its grip on these particular, the Anglo-Saxon system that it created after the First and Second World War. America thoda recede kar raha hai. Why are we saying this? There are incidences which make us say so and believe in it. The unusual withdrawal from Afghanistan and the loosening grip of America over its sphere of influence called West Asia. In the year 2023, China went to West Asia and brokered a deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran. One is an American ally, one is an American enemy. Now, Americans for a very long time are trying to bring two of their friends together in West Asia, the Israel and the Saudi. They have not succeeded till date. But Chinese have brought an American enemy and an American friend together. So this is arrival of China in West Asia as a great power and end of what we call in IR the Carter Doctrine. Now what is Carter Doctrine and all these things? You will see in class. Okay. So America's footprints are receding. Still it is at top, but it is declining. China is the one which is coming, asserting itself. And the current system that we see, system and the concepts that we see, that security, power, balance of power, transnational actors, collective security, they all are US centric concepts. America created what is called an Anglo-Saxon system. Western Europe, USA, and countries like South Korea and Japan in Asia, which would be American allies. Now this system is not performing so well. Two terms in IR we use, multipolarity and multilateralism. Multipolarity challenges American hegemony. What is multipolarity? You have different power centers. You have countries like China, you have emerging powers like Saudi Arabia, India. This is Russia, again a great power. Great power is strictly defined by its military strength. So this is multipolarity where you have different countries. Multilateralism is done through institutions, UN, Bretton Woods, IMF, World Bank, WTO. So in IR we often conclude and what we say that multilateralism contributes to American hegemony, multipolarity challenges American hegemony. Now what we are seeing that multilateralism is on decline and multipolarity is on rise. Okay, so these are very interesting trends that we have seen. Now, evolution of international economic system. So here we will see the, again, as I said, the globalization thing, how it has evolved, Bretton Woods, what is WTO, and why was WTO formed, what is Ricardo's theory of comparative trade advantage, why countries who are members of WTO have to give MFN status to each other. Then CMEA was there, which was an organization of socialist countries. And what third world, mostly related to subsidies, okay, mostly related to subsidies, the demand for third world, and how India is leading their demand at the WTO, the Doha rounds of talks that happened, where no mutual consensus could be created, and West blamed India for that. So all these things we will see in this part. Now, moving on, we come to the PSIR paper, to the international relations part. And here you see Indian foreign policy, the determinant of Indian foreign policy. So before determinants, we'll also see the evolution of Indian foreign policy. What was Nehruvian foreign policy and what is PM Modi's foreign policy? How Panchasheel has transformed into what is now called as Panchamrit. Okay, and how instead of non-alignment, India is pursuing multi-alignment. Again, this question came last year in your mains exam. And it's not non-alignment, it is multi-alignment. So you see India is member of Quad, India is member of SCO. India is in BRICS, India is in Indo-Pacific working closely with USA. India is member of I2U2, India is member of IMEC and also member of INSTC. So on one hand, very deep engagement with the Americans to the extent that the bilateral relations have become what is called strategic partnership. And on the other hand, there are platforms like BRICS and SCO where India is very closely working with China. Okay, despite the issues between both countries. So this is multi-alignment. And you will see this in other parts also. In West Asia also you will see that India is very closely working with Israel, but still favors a two-state solution between Israel and Palestine. Now, determinants of foreign policy, what are the factors that shape foreign policy? So there are a host of factors, right from the country's location, the ideology of those in office, the strategic position of the country, the public opinion. So there are 10 to 12 factors which decide what the foreign policy should be. Of course, the end result is increasing and pursuing your national interest. Institution of policy making, continuity and change. See, diplomacy and foreign policy is never a knee-jerk reaction. There's a lot of continuity cutting across the governments. Maybe previous government was emphasizing on something else, but the current government will not undo all those emphasis. They will carry the legacy forward. At times there will be a gradual switch, never a sudden switch. So these things we study here. Now India's contribution to the non-alignment, again NAM 3 times is mentioned in your syllabus, and last year itself there was a question also. See this question. For 20 marks, this is 2024, not 2014. So what it says, the relevance of normative ethos of non-aligned movement in magnifying India's soft power in pursuit of its national interest. See how many terms have been used here. Every subject has its own language. So does PSIR. Normative ethos. What do you mean by normative ethos? Let me explain this brief thing. I'm not making you go through the answer or something. How to approach the questions, how the concepts become handy is what I'm trying to demonstrate. So normative, what is normative? West is a great normative power. It normalizes things like human rights, multiculturalism, heterogeneity, inclusivity, plurality, democracy. All these are cherished normative concepts of West. Okay, and West often has one size fit model for all, led by US, the Anglo-Saxon system. One size fit all model. So when it comes to representation, India did 106th Amendment. All of you know about that. What it provided for? OBC तो बहुत पहले हो गया. 106th Amendment is reservation to women in Lok Sabha and Assembly. Okay. Already we had women reservation in Panchayat. 73rd Amendment, lot less than 1/3 seats will be reserved for women. Almost 20 states in India have given 50% reservation to women in local bodies, Panchayats. Now in Vidhan Sabhas, that is state assembly, and also in Lok Sabha, seats will be reserved for women. Now some Western think tank or a scholar in some American university might say that this is non-inclusive. Why? Where are the transgenders? Where are the sexual minorities? Where is the intersex? Okay, where is the gender fluid category? You understand what is normative? What is in for them? What is normal for them should be normal for everyone. Now, here we have to talk about relevance of normative ethos of non-aligned movement. So with what framework India organized the NAM? There were certain assumptions before the Indian state and those in office. What were those assumptions? That we will emphasize on South-South cooperation. We will talk about Asian-African unity. We will be critical and we will oppose neo-imperialism and racism. So you will see this in the foreign policy of Nehruji, Bandung Conference 1955, where India will lead the Afro-Asian countries. Next year, 1956, the war will start. Okay, Suez Canal. Britain, France and Israel will attack Egypt because it will nationalize Suez Canal. India will criticize this. So this is India's solidarity with the new world, the post-colonial states which became independent after the Second World War. Assumption kya hai? That we seek more cooperation. Okay, let us put our resources together because we were colonies, we were exploited by the imperial masters. So let us put our acts together so that it benefits our own people. Okay, ये क्या थे? ये इंडिया के normative ethos है NAM time के. Are we understanding this thing? Now, how it increases India's soft power in pursuing the national interest? The relevance we have to discuss. How normative ethos of India during NAM still helps India build its soft power. So one term we have seen, what is normative ethos? I explained it with an example, some examples. NAM you already know. Soft power, what is soft power? Soft power and hard power, these are instruments of foreign policy. See, Russia is also pursuing its foreign policy, but it's not using soft power. It's using its military, the hard power, coercion. In soft power, what Joseph Nye coined this term, a scholar, what he says soft power, the ability to influence. Manufacturing consent is by Noam Chomsky. Okay, that's not soft power, that is completely different thing. So what happens here, you will be doing things which otherwise you want. Why? Because soft power is at work. For example, the American soft power. You watch American series, American movies, you will know how they exhibit the soft power. Okay. How Russians were villain in their movies. How in their latest series there is an inevitable Chinese angle. Okay, they don't show Chinese directly as enemy because there was a backlash. 3-4 movies were there. There was a backlash in China, so now they are indirectly referring to it. How they pursue the Arabs, how they pursue the Asians, how they show them in their movie will tell you what is soft power. And Haywood has used this term, McDonaldization. Andrew Haywood has used this term. So, Aloo McBurger that McDonald's sells in India sells nowhere else. They are not only suiting your hunger demand but also your sentiments. Okay. Now the craze for iPhone. This is American soft power at work, where people are willing to stand up in queue in the early hours of morning to get the iPhone, as if you don't purchase it, there will be a deprivation. कुछ deficiency हो जाएगी. America has managed to convince this to you. So they don't need to send soldiers, they need to send their products and services. And no wonders the greatest hard power on the planet is also the greatest repository of soft power. Now I'm told by some, not aspirants, but people of your age who are not preparing, that this South Korean series is very popular. Which one? Okay, there is some band also, right? So again, this is South Korean soft power at work, which not forces you, which pursues you to act in a certain way. Use those products, behave like them, have their lifestyle. This is soft power. Now, once soft favor does the work, no need to send hard power, no need to, because trade will happen. Our market will be flooded with these goods and products and services. So how, see again, after having understood what is normative ethos and how it boosts soft power, normative ethos of India during NAM. Now, how India is using the same ethos to boost the soft power? India still champions the cause of underprivileged. Vaccine diplomacy. India gave vaccine to more than 100 countries, earned a lot of goodwill, boosted its soft power. India has launched the first South Asian satellite, Neighborhood First Policy, HADR, Humanitarian Assistance Disaster Relief Measurement, emergence of India as net security provider in the Indian Ocean region. So all this is boosting India's image and soft power. So you see a continuance from NAM days, still championing the cause of the poor and the downtrodden. It was at the insistence of India at Delhi summit of G20 that Africa became a part of G20. Immediately they became a part. India in its capacity as the president proposed it, others agreed with it. Okay, so see how this is working. Normative ethos are same. That will not change overnight, whether you pursue non-alignment or multiple alignment. Culture country का नहीं बदल सकता है, जिस पर बेस्ड है पूरा देश वो नहीं बदलने वाला है. कुछ भी कर लो, कोई भी रहे ऑफिस में, irrespective of the individual or the party in power. Okay, so how you see this? There are 4-5 examples that I listed. Now this can easily be your answer. Okay, you first need to explain what is normative ethos and how India was pursuing these normative ethos, and you connect it with how currently India is taking certain actions which are connected to normative ethos of NAM and currently boosts India's soft power. Okay, so it's a very wonderfully framed question which includes a lot of concept. You don't study all these things which are mentioned in this question in one chapter. multidisciplinary approach that I'm saying, and repeatedly I'm stressing on this fact that paper 1, especially political theory part, will be very useful, at least in comparative politics.
Preparing for the UPSC Civil Services examination demands strong preparation across all mains papers. And when it comes to scoring well in the mains, your optional subject plays a crucial role. A good performance in your optional paper can be the difference between just qualifying and securing a top rank. To help you build a strong conceptual foundation and improve answer writing, Vision IAS presents the Optional Classroom Program 2026, available in both live online and classroom offline modes. Subjects offered: Geography, Sociology, Political Science and International Relations. Batch starts from 20th June, 2 p.m. Physics. Classes start from 15th July. Looking for expert mentoring to crack UPSC? Lakshya Mentoring Program is your answer, a personalized, expert-led path from preparation to performance. If you are targeting Prelims 2025, here is what is in store with batch starting from 14th March. One-on-one mentoring with UPSC experts. Tailor-made strategy to match your needs. Regular MCQ-based assessments, CSAT support. Access to live quiz, Sandhan personalized tests, Lakshya Prelims practice tests. Planning for the long game Prelims, Mains and Interview 2026? Lakshya Integrated Mentoring Program 2026 gives you a head start with batch starting from 15th March. Year-round mentoring support, structured preparation calendar. Prelims to interview coverage including GS, CSAT, ethics, essay, and personality test guidance. Regular evaluation, customized feedback, and adaptive planning. Regular group and one-on-one session with mentors. Integrated current affairs preparation with digital current affairs platform. Are you still juggling newspapers, random notes, and endless PDFs trying to make sense of current affairs? Let's make your UPSC prep smarter. Introducing Digital Current Affairs Premium by Vision IAS, your all-in-one platform to read, revise, and write better every single day. Have a doubt from today's news or something in your syllabus? Just ask and get instant AI-powered answers that are concise, relevant, and completely aligned with the UPSC exam pattern. No more guesswork, no more confusion. Want to boost your mains writing skills? Practice daily with structured questions and get expert feedback to sharpen your content, clarity, and analysis, because writing well is winning half the battle. Need better revision? Use quick notes and highlights to save key points, mark important lines, and organize your current affairs in a way that actually works for you. And here's the best part, some of the most powerful tools are absolutely free. Daily news summaries from The Hindu, Indian Express and more, curated, filtered, and exam ready. Downloadable PDFs so your notes stay organized and accessible. Daily quizzes and MCQs to reinforce what you've learned and track your progress. A smart student dashboard to monitor your performance and stay on top of your goals. Whether you're just starting or deep into your prep, Digital Current Affairs Premium adapts to your strategy and makes every minute count. So why prepare the hard way when you can prepare the smart way? Visit www.visionis.in/current-affairs and start transforming your current affairs prep today. Because with Vision IAS, you don't just stay updated, you stay ahead.
Now, moving on, this thing, India's contribution to NAM, this we have seen, and the current role. Now, South Asia, 2-3 regions are very important from your exams perspective. Repeatedly questions are being asked. First is your immediate neighborhood. Immediate neighborhood, कितनी countries हैं? Maldives will also be there. Afghanistan, so 9, precisely 9 if you include this. Then there is something called extended neighborhood. What is that? ठीक है, South East Asia, ASEAN countries, West Asia, 12 countries, Central Asia, 5 countries. Repeatedly, these areas are very, very important. And then the P5, the major powers. So immediate neighborhood, extended neighborhood, and the P5 countries is where we focus. So coming one special module for South Asia, SAARC. Now currently it is said that India has almost ensured that SAARC is having, India has not ensured, but because of the confrontist approach of Pakistan, India was forced to toe this line. So how can SAARC be revived? What opportunities India has at BIMSTEC? SAARC and BIMSTEC we study together. Then South Asia as a free trade area, is it possible? It is said that South Asia is the least integrated area economically. Okay, least integrated economic area in the world. Unlike European Union, the most economically integrated area. So we will see the reasons why it has happened. Look East policy, why it was announced in early 90s and now why it has been upgraded to Act East policy. Act East policy is India's answer to China in the Indian Ocean region. China wants access to these waters. China is trying to convince the island countries. India updates Look East to Act East. One main reason is to counter China in this region. Okay. And what are the other things that are included? We'll see that in detail. Then impediments to regional cooperation. As I said, South Asia remains the least integrated economic zone. Economically also and politically also, you will not find same type of regime. I mean, which country in India's neighborhood would be democratic? Not theoretically, practically. Can you call Pakistan democratic? Countries have military, Pakistani military has a country. Afghanistan? No, monarchy ended and anarchy has come. Sri Lanka, very long civil war, and then the non-implementation of 13th Amendment, the Rajiv Jayawardene Accord, and currently an economic tailspin has happened. Bangladesh, dekhi lo. 1975 it started when Mujibur Rahman was killed. Entire family except 2 of his daughters. Okay. Myanmar, 54 years of military rule. As I told you earlier, then a hybrid government. Now again, Aung San Suu Kyi has been house arrested. The Tatmadaw, the mighty military of Myanmar is ruling. And then they are facing turf war with Arakan army. Okay. Bhutan is a constitutional monarchy. So you see the instability in India's neighborhood. Understanding it? So this different polity, now China has no such concerns. When China deals with Sri Lanka, China does not worry about the Tamil issue. India has to worry about that. India has to take a stand. So you see the comparative advantage that China gets in India's immediate periphery. And all great powers and emerging powers, they want to sanitize the neighborhood or at least gain a veto over the neighborhood. One reason why Russia has attacked Ukraine, because of the previous line I said that all great power and emerging power want to sanitize their neighbor. Sanitize means nothing against me will happen here, or gain a veto over their neighbor. So India has concerns when China goes to Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka. Similarly, Russia has concerns when NATO is reaching Finland, Sweden, and saying that Ukraine should be a part. Okay, so there are reasons which are impediment to regional cooperation. The different political regime is one such factor. River water disputes. India and Bangladesh share 54 rivers. And since 2011, there is a pending interim agreement on Teesta water. 42.5% river water was to be shared by India, 37.5% to be shared by Bangladesh. is what the Joint River Commission said in 2011. Still it has not materialized. It was for interim 15 years. 1 year is left for that. Sheikh Hasina was India's best chance to ink this deal. Now it looks very tough. Okay, so you see, common resource, rivers are common resources. With some country you have river issue, with some country you have an island issue. Which country? Sri Lanka, Kachadibu Island, Pakistan, you know how many issues? I'm not even talking about border issues, issues like Indus Water, Sar Creek. With Bangladesh, illegal migration. It is called India's Mexico problem. With Myanmar, a not so friendly regime which is perceived to be close to China. Although right now Myanmar is not acting against Indian interest. But how long, that remains to be seen. So severe impediments are there, and then ethnic conflicts. Some tribes in Northeast have close ties with their counterparts in Myanmar. The free movement regime, a question came in your optional exam on this related to Myanmar. The free movement regime, which was functional between India and Myanmar, was closed by the government. Now it looks that it will be revived. Insurgency, Northeast insurgency, two countries, Myanmar and Bangladesh, play an important role in combating these insurgencies because of the porous borders that we share. Bangladesh shares the largest border with India, more than 4,000 kilometers, and Myanmar shares border with 4 northeastern states which are suffering from varying degrees of insurgency. Okay, so cooperation with these countries matter. And then border dispute, the unsettled border dispute with the neighbors, because Britishers left the subcontinent in not so good condition. The lines that they were drawing between India and China, the LSA dispute, you know, there is dispute even on the thickness of nib of the pen being used to draw the map between India and China. It may sound hilarious, but yes, it's a fact. इस पे भी dispute होता है कि the thickness of the nib of the pen which has been used to draw the map between the India and China, the LSE, the McMahon line that separates Arunachal Pradesh with China. So there are factors, you get the answer, what leads to impediment to regional cooperation. Now Global South, which is a more respectable term for third world. Third world today has become a bit derogatory. The correct word is Global South. So where this term came from and how India is emerging. Dr. Jaishankar, whenever he participates in an international event, you won't miss this, he says, as a representative of Global South, this is my stand. See the words he's choosing. He's not saying leader. Vishwa Guru se ab Vishwa Bandhu bolne lag gaya. Have you seen that? And as a representative of Global South does not confront this, that yes, India is our rightful representative. Okay, so how India is emerging as the leader, what are the issues with Global South, and how India can provide leadership and navigate the way forward. Relations with Africa, why Africa matters so much. Why India insisted that Africa should be a part of G20, and it became. So you will see massive Indian investments in African countries. You will see the connectivity projects being worked on. Okay, China has more presence in Africa, but Africans want to be with India because of the obvious nefarious Chinese design which they don't like. Latin America. Latin America is new on India's radar. See, IR came in 1919. For us, it actually came, because till 1991, it was very one-directional. Unidirectional it was. Russia, Russia, Soviet, Soviet, Soviet. Okay. After 1991, the de-hyphenation of foreign policy started. So all the things that you are doing do not have a very huge footprint. ये सब अभी होना शुरू हुआ है. पहले ये सब्जेक्ट बहुत आसान था. But now because India is going everywhere, engaging everyone, that's why the literature is also enormous over here. Okay. Latin America, see, it is said that there are 3 concentric circles of India's foreign policy. I'll just very briefly show it to you, how it works. The 3 concentric circles. So the first circle is for India's immediate neighbor. The second circle is for strategic partners. And the third circle is for rest of the world. Here is India at the center. How India was using its diplomatic maneuvering with the world. सबसे पहली प्रेफरेंस किसको दी है? सबसे क्लोज कौन है? इमीडिएट नेबर, चाहे वो नैम हो या अभी की बात हो. Still India has not abandoned that. Most of India's aid and help goes to 4 countries in the neighborhood. सेकेंड पर कौन आता है इनके बाद? स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनर्स, द मेजर पावर्स, रशिया, अमेरिका, ओके, देन रेस्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. सो ऑफ लेट Latin America has been promoted from third circle to the second circle. Okay, now why? And your syllabus also says so. There are reasons. Because Latin America is said to be in what is called the Goldilocks zones. You have studied this term in your geography? क्या होता है Goldilocks? Congenial condition for life. But here what happens, on one hand, we have Western markets, highly regulated, highly competitive. नखरे उनके बहुत ज़्यादा है. यूएस कहता है कि तुम्हारे प्रोडक्ट में दिक्कत है, तुम्हारे अल्फांसो में कीड़ा है. They actually said this. Okay, कि you know अल्फांसो right? The mango which India exports. So इसमें पेस्टिसाइड यूज़ किया तो कीड़ा आ गया, वो कीड़ा हटा के खा जाओ. That's not actually a कीड़ा, but Americans see this as one. Regulated market. So many quality standards are there, monitoring is going on. Product expectation यहाँ पर है. India and Japan have such wonderful relations, but the trade is low because Japan again has very high expectancy with regards to our products and services, which is not. So Europe में दिक्कत है Western markets में, and there is an issue in developed countries like Japan also, despite having very close ties. On the other hand, you have African markets. Now, do they expect the same product quality like the way West does? No. Do they have such regulations the way West has? No. But the problem in Africa is that the purchasing power is low. क्या बेचोगे? एड देना पड़ेगा, बेचोगे क्या? उनको तो हेल्प चाहिए. So India trains Senegal civil servants and all these you will see. Now another problem with Africa is that absence of rule of law. You invest your money and military coup happens. The government is gone. You are now hostage. Who will go to that place? That is why somewhere in between Goldilocks zone is Latin America. Especially the ABC countries. ABC मतलब? अर्जेंटीना, ब्राज़ील एंड चिले. ओके, तो इनके ना नखरे यूरोप के जैसे हैं. दे आर नॉट हैविंग सच एक्सपेक्टेशंस एंड प्रोडक्ट क्वालिटी, एंड द परचेजिंग पावर इज हायर देन अफ्रीकन, एंड दे हैव बेटर लॉ एंड ऑर्डर. सो दैट्स वाई इंडिया इज रीचिंग आउट टू लैटिन अमेरिका. नाउ लीडरशिप रोल इन द डिमांड फॉर NIEO, International Economic Order, and WTO negotiation, where India has often championed the cause of developing countries. Okay, in details we will see this. Now global centers of power, very quickly we'll revisit this thing. So with US, strategic partner. Okay, only country with which India has 7 military tie-ups, not even with Russia, only with USA. EU, again you will see this year itself a free trade agreement happening between India and EU. It's inevitable. More so of the person who is in White House. US was the net security provider of Europe. Trump is saying, I'll not do that role anymore. Okay. Then with Japan, with China, with Russia, all the things in detail we'll see how India is reaching out. UN system, role in peacekeeping forces. In fact, in 2023, Foreign Minister said that UN system has become anachronistic. And India is angry, he used these terms, angry with delayed reforms. So what is the reform that India wants? Permanent seat in Security Council, expansion of P5, consensus being generated, because what we see, P5 has become polarized. One American group is there, the other Russia-China led group is there, and both of them neutralize each other through vetoes. So how India has a role to play in this deadlock, that we can see. Nuclear question and changing perception and policy, the no first use, and scholars like Friedman say that the nuclear is actually a deterrent. Is it actually a deterrent? In 1998, India, Pakistan became nuclear power countries. Next year, 1999, Kargil war happened. Where was the deterrence? Okay, so the theories that we see in international relations are not, eternal theories. This is social science, okay, human behavior at work, not hard science or discrete science. So it varies according to situation, it varies according to people. Then you come across what is recent development in Indian foreign policy, of late development, okay, multi-alignment that I said instead of non-alignment. And India's position on recent crisis in Afghanistan. See, in 2021, Taliban came, Taliban 2.0, India closed its diplomacy. This year, the foreign minister of Afghanistan came to India. He was welcomed by our foreign secretary, Mr. Vikram Misri. Track 1 is happening between India and Taliban right now. Official delegations are being, soon you will see diplomatic offices being established. India closed that, we are just have a consular there. Okay, so what took this time from 21 to 24, why this transformation happened? The Taliban 2.0 has more acceptance than its earlier avatar. Central Asian countries, China, Russia, Pakistan, Iran, Qatar, US, all have reached out to this Taliban, reached out. So will India, because some action is happening on Durand line between Pakistan and Afghanistan. India would like to capitalize on that. Okay, it makes sense geopolitically speaking. Now, in Iraq and West Asia, again, West Asia, the most conflict prone zone. So many things are happening here between Israel and Palestine, between Saudi Arabia and Iran, and the recent Syrian crisis, which has impacted India also, because India, in fact, India and China had joint project in Syria under Bashar al-Assad. So now what are India's chances? Okay, amidst all this state of flux in geopolitics and vision of a new world order. So these are the things that we study here. Just one question I would like to tell you, not the answer. What do you mean by offensive and defensive realism? This is your main question. Now, you study this thing in your paper 1. What is realism? What is idealism? Now, in order to understand this question, first you need to know what is structural realism or neorealism. Once you understand structural realism and neorealism, only then you will be able to distinguish between these two forms. Now, why this question came? Because the greatest scholar of offensive realism, Professor John Mearsheimer, he predicted Russia-Ukraine war 6-7 years before. Exactly same things are happening. The war started in 2022. The question came in 2023. Okay, so this is on expected lines. Everything that you see here is on expected line. Lastly, regarding the sources, there is no one book that covers your entire material, entire syllabus. In fact, scholars have written book, but not keeping your exam in their mind. So I would like to suggest, but strictly as reference material, because these are not user-friendly books. These are not aspirant-friendly books. If you start reading them from day one, probably will change your optional. Okay. So periodic references, class notes would be more than sufficient. The handouts that we will give will be more than sufficient. For interested person, I will list something. There is this Tragedy of Great Power, Politics by Professor John Mearsheimer. Okay, yes, I'll write that. First one is this, Global Politics. Latest edition is 2023. This is by Andrew Haywood. Then you have another well-written book, Globalization of World Politics. 3-authored book it is. Okay, Owen, Baylis and Smith. This you can read. And the third one, Tragedy of Great Power Politics. Strictly for references. Okay, strictly for references. Then you may look up to these things. Diplomat magazine. Then there is this Project Syndicate. And last year, another good magazine has been launched by Happy Mon Jacob, India's World. You may refer to ORF also. ORF, all of you know? Apart from full form? It's a think tank very close to the current government. Okay, together ORF and MEA organize Raisina dialogue. So you can see some documents from Raisina dialogue as well. Some official documents that they release, you can very well go through them. And newspapers, the 2 newspapers that you read. This will be more than sufficient. And of course, references. Don't start reading everything immediately. Okay. So time for your questions. Okay. Winding up this session, whatever doubts one has, you can ask. I will give it.
Okay, so I believe you must have gained a lot from this enriching session. So now the session is open for any question if you people have regarding optional. So me and sir are there to answer you. Any question? All doubts clear? Okay, so I just wanted to know that to what percent your mind has now been clear regarding whatever option you are going to take. And if slightly you were towards PSIR, to what extent now your mind is firm? You can speak about. Interaction तो बहुत ज़रूरी है, no? I always encourage in my class. You should interact. बताओ. 70% is clear, 30% still doubtful. What could be the reason? International relations. Over to sir then.
What's the specific problem there? Yes. देखो डर लगता है लेकिन पढ़ना तो पड़ेगा. कहाँ तक भागोगे? You have to study that in your paper 2 general studies.
Yeah.
And as I said, अगर ये सब एक साथ if you pick up, then तो definitely डर लगेगा. So we will have a very gradual and piecemeal approach. Nothing to be afraid of. You don't have to go for a ball by ball commentary. Anything happening in any part of the planet, you don't have to go for every development that happens. Okay, only the significant ones.
Okay,
Once
sir.
you start studying, then things will become more clear to you. How to navigate through it. Otherwise, it's actually like an ocean, but your exam has a fixed syllabus. The questions are on fixed pattern, as I showed you, that defensive and offensive realism and everything. So nothing to be scared about. Okay.
And sir, questions in this paper are almost repetitive.
Are almost
Repetitive.
Questions in this international relations, no, I
No,
won't
not in
say.
international relation, means this PSIR.
Paper 1, I think, is a bit more repetitive. Ideology and thinker, which ma'am has taken a session on. In IR, themes are there. Of course, questions would change. When geopolitics is changing so fast, when IR itself is in a state of flux, how can you expect the questions to be same? But themes will be same. As I said, immediate neighborhood, extended neighborhood, major powers, maritime neighbors, these are the identifiable themes.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so I would like to add few things. One, so like sir has already said, anyhow you people are going to study international relations in GS paper 2, है ना? तो डरने जैसा तो कुछ है नहीं. PSIR optional will give you an extra cover, so it would be in your advantage. You would be more empowered then. ठीक है ना? तो उल्टा डरने से अच्छा तो you should opt it. Frankly speaking, I am telling you. डरने से अच्छा you should opt it because anyhow you have to study. अभी यहाँ क्या होगा कि you are studying it in much more deeper way. So anyhow, it would then be, as I said, a cakewalk when you are going to solve your GS paper. As far as themes, recurring themes are concerned, like sir also said, in paper 1, section A, definitely, section B also, themes are coming up. That when we are going to take the session, I will definitely tell you what are the recurring things. इसीलिए मैंने अपने open session में उसको heading में भी रखा है. The themes are definitely recurring. And as far as thinkers are concerned, head to toe, we are not studying every thinker. क्योंकि आपको PhD तो करनी नहीं है, as I told you. I will just tell you those things which are required in order to sail out from this particular thing. ठीक है ना? हम उतना ही thinker पढ़ेंगे. And entire analysis would be based upon PYQs and the recurring themes. So जितना Plato Aristotle में जो repetitive आया, only those things we are going to study, and believe me, questions will be asked from that only. So you don't worry about that. ठीक है? हम PYQ अगर पकड़ के चलेंगे, so things would be very easy. Anything else? All set? Okay. So then I really feel that you all would be joining us. The session is going to start. This will be a new batch. And Vision student, of course, know what the pedagogy is, how Vision perform, how Vision delivers. And so I'm so pretty sure that I'll be meeting you all. So sir might be concluding it as well.
Same thing, ma'am. Nothing more to add. We have elaborated upon it. Now up to you. And the reason that political science optional is a very favorable one is, as I said initially itself, the overlapping with your general studies. So all the grace patches that are there in paper 2 will be automatically taken care of. Plus it gives you an edge in essay, to an extent in paper 1 where you study history, and some extent in your ethics also. Plus in interview, there is no candidate who is not questioned on these themes. So it makes sense. Okay, it makes sense. Things will be streamlined here, so nothing to be scared of. Thank you all of you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks a lot for coming. Okay, hope to see you all. Have a nice day.